Welcome to the Yarn Barn.
This episode was made possible by the legends over at Connect Groups WA, the voice for peer support in WA. I don't actually write anything in it.
It's such a doctor move.
It is, yeah. I've got my little note cards here, just if I want to draw the brain out or something and pretend like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's it.
You take it away and tell all your friends. This guy knows what he's talking
like
about. All right, Kieran. Before you fall asleep after a long night shift, let's have a quick chat. Welcome to my office, and I appreciate you taking the time to come in here and just telling us and everyone that's listening, or telling me and everyone that's listening a little bit about your story. And why don't we just start with a bit of an intro? Who's Kieran Rowland?
Morning, Liam. Kieran is a dad, and I think I'm one of the OGs from the
Pilbara Dads Network.
Yeah, well, it was originally the Pilbara Network, wasn't it? Yeah. So, yeah.
Almost 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's a while, isn't it? But, yeah, look, I'm dad of two, married for a long time. I'm in my 40s. I've been married with my wife for, I think it's exactly half my life now. So, and yeah, two wonderful kids. I'm a Kiwi, raised in North Queensland where I met her, and then have spent the majority of my adult life in Western Australia, the Pilbara, either living here or working here. I'm a pretty simple person, I think. Well, I feel I'm simple, but I think I'm complex. You've known me for quite a while now, and you've seen some of the things and whatever that I've been through, and now where I'm headed, which is great, I think. But yeah, I work shift work here in the Pilbara, drive trains, the big ones that carry dirt, that are the backbone of Australia, I think, what they say, or something like that. So, yeah, that's me. The daughter, she's a teenager, so we're dealing with teenage daughter stuff. And the son is still in primary school and just wants to go fast all the time. So, yeah, that's about it. Got a dog, Lexi the Labrador. She's 15. So she's actually our oldest kid. But, yeah, there's not much else to me, to be honest. I like diving, spearfishing. So, yeah.
Awesome. So let's go, because I don't often talk about the Pilbara Dads Network too much, but let's go back to that sort of time, and I suppose where we sort of started to connect was about maybe 6 years ago, a little bit around there. What was going on for you at that particular time that was where you realised that maybe that kind of a group would be helpful for you?
I think, if I'm correct, and you'll probably remember, but
unlikely that I'd remember.
There was that was a time, I think, in my life where I was a little bit lost in regards to, how to be a dad, or what is a dad, I guess. My kids were, at the time, so we go back 6 years, 8 and 4. And here in town, you ran a course.
Yeah, I remember.
Which was something along the lines of connecting with your kids.
Tuning into kids,
yeah. So
that's right.
You ran that course, and there was myself and another lady who attended, and that's how I met you.
That's right.
Through that course, and you facilitated that course, and it helped me, I guess, take on board some different angles of parenting. And I think at the start, it's like I was totally lost in, I didn't know how to be a dad, because all the kids want in their younger years is mum. you know, mum provides the food from babies, you know. Mum is the one that, not all the time, we have stay-at-home dads, but in my case, Nicole was stay-at-home mum while I was at work. So all the kids had was mum because I was at work and whatever. So I really had no idea what to do, and I was lost. And I still think to this day, if I had little kids now, I'd probably be the same, I think. But I would have a different view on how to manage things as a dad. So, yeah, back then I was lost, and that course, it really helps me a lot, actually. And I think it's helped me now more, you know, when those things that we talked about that we put into place. I still do some of those things now. Don't ask me what they are because I think it's just natural and it just happens. But they helped me moving forward with my kids, which is good. And now I know how to be a dad. You know, there's no right or wrong though. You know, there's no rule book, but it certainly has helped, and I think benefited both my kids and me. So, especially dealing with tantrums and stuff. I have tantrums myself, so you know, you see kids have them, you know, or meltdowns, whatever you want to call them. But I think that was one of the biggest things I took away was staying calm, or you know, I think one of the big ones actually was, I'm all over the shop here, but one of the big ones was sometimes when you're talking to the kids, you know, as parents we say, "Look at me," and you were saying, well, sometimes the kids don't want to look at you, but because we're trying to discipline them, we're like, "Look at me." You know, I'm trying to discipline you. Look at me when I'm talking to you. But some kids, and my son's a classic, he doesn't like eye contact. So, but he takes on board what you say. So he can be off looking at the roof, stars, whatever. He will still take it on board because later on when you're talking to him, he'll be able to repeat everything that you said. So that was a big one. And yeah, and then from that, you know, we got talking and you saying the Pilbara Dads Network, and it was good. You know, we had a few morning catch-ups and stuff when I could. And at the time I was really fit and healthy, and I was doing long-distance triathlon as a side thing, as a hobby and whatnot. And so sometimes I couldn't make it, but other times I would, and I'd rock up on my bike. I think I rocked up to the course a couple of times on my bike, or I was going for a long ride after the course, and things like that. So, yeah, I don't know what number I was in the Dads Network. Geez, it would have been pretty low.
Well, I'd be able to find, you know, be able to find that date, I reckon, that you joined, and then be able to do the maths. But you know, there is a few up here that are still up here. You know, Andrew Beadle, Dave Schultz,
Schultzy,
there's a few of those guys that are still around here, and that. So it was you would have been one of the, if we had you know, like a special shirt for
first 5.
I
reckon.
Like just the first 1% or something like that.
It was
you can't have 1% on your shirt anymore anyway. But.
Nah, you get in trouble. But no, it was good, and then that moved into what you have now as the Australian Dads Network, which is a great thing. And I've come and gone a couple of times with that, you know, but I'm back on now. It's good, and it's good to see it's thriving. You know, I think it's great. I don't interact too much on it, but I think it's been great what you've moved from the Pilbara Dads Network to the Australian Dads Network, and engaging with all these dads all over the country. So I think it's wonderful. I really do. And for it to be headquartered here at home, I think it's really cool. You know, we're a small little place up here in the Pilbara. Well, we're a big place, but we're a small place in the Pilbara. I think it's great. I really think it's really fantastic, actually. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, it's good, and we're glad that you're a part of it, because it's I mean, as far as, you know, Karratha, it's a blip on the map as far as size and population, but you know, as far as contributing to the national economy, like you said, you know, the dirt that moves around the place, and the oil and gas and stuff like that. But you know, it's cool to be able to contribute to something from this location that is national as well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's I think it, for me anyway, that regional touch on a lot of the stuff that can be done. There's so many people in regional Australia that have some sort of skill or ability to make a big difference on a national level, or even just in their own patch. But too often times, and Karratha has been like that, and still is to a certain degree, is thinking that no one can do certain things up here, so let's bring them in from Perth, or let's bring specialists, quote unquote, in from other places because no one can do it here, And I think that mentality's starting to shift, and there's a few of us that are really trying to push that local. The local people can do really cool stuff to support the community, and I think there's a shift happening, which is cool.
Yeah, we don't have to be city based, do we? It's with some special people up here, and like you say, the skill set is here. We just need to unlock it, and utilize what we have instead of paying other people from the cities to come here, because we can do it. We can do anything up here. We really can. So, and that goes for any small place, not just Karratha, but obviously I've never grown up in a city. Grew up in Townsville. I'm from a little town in New Zealand called Taupo, and all of those places where I'm from, Taupo in New Zealand's a wonderful place. I don't know if you've ever been.
Haven't been in New Zealand.
Oh,
no.
Mate, you have to go. It's so good. And, and in North Queensland, it's similar distance than what Karratha is from Perth. From, Townsville to Brisbane, similar to Karratha to Perth, and they've got some wonderful people up there, and they do some big things, and same with over here, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah, regions are good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't want this to turn into. We're definitely not sponsored by the tourism department of City of Karratha.
No way.
But it's it's cool. We're just looking outside here at the the window is the sun is trying to creep through the clouds, which is kind of unusual for us. But yeah, it's cool and it's good, and encouraging that anyone that's listening is love where you live, and if you don't love where you live, then maybe it's time to have a look at somewhere else, and definitely try regional Australia, because there's some cool crew around, and there's often plenty of good camping spots and everything like that. So
such good camping spots. We have some wonderful places everywhere. So yeah, definitely get out of the cities, guys. Come and see us.
I've got a question.
Hopefully I've got an answer for you.
I think you will. So you mentioned about the long distance training for triathlons and all that, and that was something that I remember was that like consumed your days essentially. Early mornings, late nights, everything in between. I remember you're wearing some pink and yellow sort of polka dot leotard thing, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
That was while you were operating your bike, watching Queen on TV or something.
Yes, budgie smugglers as well.
Yeah, budgie smugglers,
yes.
Chucking laps with the budgie smugglers,
yes.
Tubs of Vaseline. And,
yes.
What for you was either the reason for doing something like that? Well, let's start there. What's the reason that you would go, I'm going to just run for a day and see what happens?
There's a few reasons. And this might sound weird, but I'm not a team sport or team player. I don't classify myself as a team player. I played team sport as a kid, hated it. And then as I grew up, I lost interest in all of being active, I guess. And then it clicked with me one day, and it said, Kieran, you have to do something, And I was watching this thing, I think I've told you this. I was watching this thing on TV, and it had a clip for the World Championship Ironman in Kona in Hawaii, right? And I was like, oh, I'll watch this. And I didn't realise it was the whole race. I had no idea what this Ironman was about. And I think it was like 8 hours later, I finished watching it. And some guy, I can't remember who it was, won. I think it was Craig Alexander, actually, the Australian guy. He's won it 3 times, right? And I was like, oh, I can do that. Yeah, maybe not at that level, but I want to have a crack at that. And something just flicked a switch, and off I went. I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to do Ironman. And she's like, what's that? So I told her, you have to swim. She's, Kieran, you haven't swum in, I know, since you were in high school. I'm like, yep. And you got to ride your bike. I've always liked riding a bike in some form of mountain bike, whatever. And then you're going to have to run a marathon. I was like, yeah, sounds cool, eh? And, and then, so I started training, and then I went through some battles mentally where I found the time out alone riding a bike for 6 hours, 7 hours, doing 200 Ks of riding, getting in the pool and just swimming and not stopping, and then running. I hate running. My little brother's a runner. Yeah. And then I became okay at it. And I found the time alone suited my personality, where I could just drift off, ride my bike for a stupid amount of hours, and I had time to get away from everything. Switched off. Sometimes the mind would think when I'm out there, other times it wouldn't. And so I started training and I got fit, which was great because I'm not typically a fit person, but I've gone through periods of my life where I've been fit. And it was so good. I really enjoyed it. And talking with some people now that are in my life, I miss it that I don't do it anymore. I don't so much miss the training. I miss the racing. The racing was fun, The training, especially up here, the training was long and arduous sometimes. Summer, it's horrid. I'd be riding my bike at 1:30 in the morning to beat the heat, and then, you get to a race, you fly away. Like I've raced in Vietnam, New Zealand, Cairns, Busselton and all sorts. And you get there and it's just so cool. Like everyone's fit and healthy. Everyone's pumped. They want to race.
So it was the energy of those events that sort of lifted you up more so than the training. So how did you know then when you started training that would be something that would excite you? Like, because you could have got to those events and gone, no, this is too much.
I watched that show, that video, or that episode, that race where you're on TV there, and to see the crowd on the sidelines cheering everybody on, I thought, this is cool. I want to be part of that atmosphere, I think. And typically I'm not a big crowd person. I struggle sometimes with crowds and that. And I thought, I want to do it. And I did it and loved it and kept doing it. And I think I'm a racer at heart in anything. I want to be fast. I don't really have the body to be the fastest, but it was so cool. It really was, just being a part of the whole atmosphere. I don't seek praise, I think, and such. But to hear people saying on the sideline, go on, Kieran, good stuff. Keep going, mate, and doing so well. And, see my wife on the sideline cheering me on, and asking me how I'm feeling and me telling her I felt like shit during a race. But
taking you to the hospital a couple of times, didn't she?
Yeah. Fell off my bike once or twice and, a couple of hospital trips there. But it was a great time of my life. Lots of hard work was put in and it was rewarding. So it helps clear the mind at times. Other times it wouldn't clear the mind because overdrive, But it was something really cool part of my life, yeah. And I look back on it fondly. So, if I talk to anyone about it and they go, "Oh, I'd like to have a go," I'm like, "Yeah, do it." It is consuming though. It does take you away from your family because, I would, you're training every day on top of work, on top of kids' activities, morning, afternoon, you're training. And it depends on what you're doing, I guess. I'm all in. So I don't do it half-assed. I'll go all in. So, yeah, I was up early mornings, either running, I'd be at the pool, knocking the door down from open the gates to the pool. I'd, come home after work, 12 hours at work, and go ride for 3 hours, and then you got to sleep. So it's hard, but so rewarding. But I don't think it's something I could do long term.
Do you think that you mentioned that you're all in? If you're making a decision to do something, you're all in, and has that, when you haven't been able to have something that you're all in on, has that been when you've seen that your mental health has dipped?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I finished with triathlon, I went on a real bad downward spiral, like really bad. And I think you'll remember you were part of my group of people that I could call on if I needed help with stuff. So I went through a few years there where I was in a pretty bad way and I was doing nothing. So that's very true. Yeah, absolutely. So, and I had to find something else. So that period of time in my life was hard. I nearly lost my marriage. You could ask my wife; she probably wouldn't talk about it, but several times there, I wasn't, a person that you'd probably want to be married to. To her credit, she stuck by me. I never did anything wrong to her. That that's not in my nature, but I just was distant. I wasn't active father. I wasn't active in my relationship with my wife. I had no effort. I had no care about anything. It was pretty sad when I look back at it now. I still have some battles, which I work through, but it was a pretty horrible time. I had so many trips to the hospital to see doctors. I made so many calls to my tight group of people, which you, Dave Schultz from the network, was in. I had a couple of people in Perth and another couple of people. And it was a really hard time, like really, really, really hard. So there's a period of time where I was unemployed there, which is the nature of what I used to do before I do what I do now. You would get made redundant when your work was, construction. So you're always working yourself out of a job there. And there was a time where I was made redundant and I just didn't care. I wasn't interested in finding a job. I was more interested in going to Exmouth and spending time diving and camping by myself, not caring about anything at home, bills, whatever. I just leave it for my wife to sort out and pay. And that was hard couple of years where I was in that state of mind. But it's happened, and I spent a lot of time with do you know Andrew from Pilbara at the hospital? God, Andrew, he's a nice man. Put it that way.
Oh, that Andrew.
Yeah. White hair, beard, really nice guy. He's a counsellor. So he, to me, was amazing. And it's very hard to find a counsellor that you fit, especially here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the sheer volume of choice, I guess. But Andrew was great. So when I was put in hospital one night, where I walked out of my house, and my wife said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Well, you told me to leave. I'm leaving." And or told me to get out, she'd had enough of my poor behaviour or attitude, and I was not great that day. And when she took the keys off me, which was hard. She didn't want me to go drive the car because you don't know what's going to happen, And so I walked, and I just walked. And we live at the other end of town, which is not that far.
6 Ks.
Yeah,
end
6
to end.
Ks. So I walked from that end of town down the top road, zigzagging in and out of the road. I didn't even walk on the footpath because I didn't care what happened to me, if a car hit me or what. And I was distraught. I was in tears, inconsolable. I chose not to ring yourself or any of my other tight group of safe people. And for whatever reason, I found my way and I was at the hospital. And I sought help. And they took me in. And the really hard bit is that when you walk into triage and they say, "What are you here for?" in their chirpy, happy voice, And I said, "I don't want to live anymore." And tears, embarrassed, and they took me straight in, obviously, and put me in the room where they watched you, which I felt really bad. And then the next morning, the psych and Andrew came in. So, yeah, and they talked to me. And anyway, moving on, there was several visits to hospital over the next couple of years. A couple where I was told you need to go to the hospital, a couple where I took myself, and he was always there for me, and I would go to him and counselling sessions, and we'd talk about lots of things, and there's even a couple of times when my wife came along with me, and I just refused to talk. So I was like this immature person, but I didn't want to talk, and he was always there and worked with me. And I could go talk to him today if I needed to. He's really good. So I think I've totally lost the question, but yeah, I'm better. Yeah.
That's good.
I think so.
Mm.
Yeah. Geez, I ramble.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's your show.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is your story. This is, I think, just seeing the last, couple of years, since you're making the shift into this new employment, and, I think we were talking about being all in, and, same with, 1 minute you're, hitting a hammer on the side of some sort of train part or something, and then the next minute you're driving the train.
It's crazy.
So it sits. There's that element of you, I suppose, that's always going to be, I was going to say, like, striving for more in some degree. That's, always pushing yourself, always learning or trying something new.
Yeah, I think that's definitely me. It's I try and do the best with anything, I think, and give it my best anyway. I think got a pretty good work ethic, and I don't like doing the washing, ironing, cooking, but work-wise, pretty good. I think I classify myself as a leader, not a follower, and that's really cool. I can see it in my kids. Like my daughter, she's a leader for sure. She wants to be a doctor. Is so driven. Young fella, he's a bit of a follower, but he's a highly intelligent kid as well. So not really sure where they get that from. Probably their mum, I'd say. But try and do the best in any scenario. And I think,
And so when you were talking about the tuning into kids, that then you were struggling with, just lost with how to parent or be a dad.
Yeah.
What about now? After what's that, 5 years or so?
Yeah.
You feel like now you've
I've got it.
And what do you think? Obviously, 90% of it was that course that I delivered, gave you all the tools that you need. Like, it's just created the man you are today. But what?
Thanks, Liam.
Yeah. I am running a course coming up soon. Contact me for more details. Because seeing what your kids are doing now for themselves, but obviously with the support of you and Nicole, what's being a dad like for you now?
It's really cool. I enjoy 99% of it. Yeah, it's, I'm very fortunate. I've got two great kids. I think we've all got great kids. We don't have any learning difficulties or things like that with our kids, So, the daughter just hates school holidays. She just wants to stay at school. Juddy, he loves school once he gets there. Yeah, sometimes not that keen to get there, but once he gets there, he's good. And to have that makes being dad easy. They are thriving at school. Like, Azra's bloody top of the class. Her results are phenomenal. We're so proud of her. Juddy, he's just so intelligent. Beyond, it almost defies you how intelligent the kid is because he doesn't show it. But then you can have a conversation with him and he blows you away with what his understanding of stuff is, and very clever. So the 1% that I struggle with is sometimes you've got to be the bad parent. I don't know if I'm going to swear, but sometimes your kids are assholes, right? And I won't accept it. I understand sometimes why they are. I'm one of those people at times as an adult, so. But we have to then bring the kids back, I think. And I've found the decision-making process that I go through when disciplining my kids, it's not that difficult for me because my kids understand what they've done, and understand that mum and dad are going to, discipline us in, whatever way. And we are non-physical discipline people. So it could be things along the lines of, Azra has a phone. She's nearly 14. Ban, and she accepts it and she'll hand it straight over. We don't like banning them from their activities because most of their activities are team related, and we don't want them to let their team down. So, it could just be, you're on picking up the dog shit for next week, something like that. So, I find parenting now pretty cruisy. Yeah, pretty fortunate. Feel very fortunate. Wake up, got two great kids. We all love each other, which is fantastic. And, we're not the most physical, to display our love, but it's there. It's there. The kids know it's there. And, daughter has a tough day. I'm always giving her hugs, and she'll come for hugs. And, yeah, dad life's pretty cool in my house these days. Judd's got Lego, like big Legos. They're so cool. I love building them with him. Azra does the dancing. I love seeing her dance. It's so good. The kid, she's not the most natural dancer. She's a bit awkward, a bit like, the Gumby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's a bit of a Gumby, but she's all legs because she's tall like you. She's tall.
I don't dance like Gumby though.
Yeah, like a
giraffe.
rock star, a giraffe. Nice.
A baby giraffe trying to drink water.
Yeah, one of those new ones.
Keep falling over.
So, but she gets up on stage and she dances her heart out, and it puts a massive smile on my face, and to see her improve over the years has been so good to watch.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know if I fit in with half the other dads because I find it pretty easy these days. You know, I think I've come into my zone as dad as they've gotten older.
Mm.
You know, they want to do shit with dad, and I reckon that's pretty cool. You know, it's not always just mum now. You know, mum's important. Don't get me wrong, like very important. But dad does all the cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. Which is which is cool to see. You know, like Judd's obviously into his go-karts and stuff now, which is that's your jam as far as being able to tinker with things and all that too, and obviously the travel and stuff as well.
Talk about that all day long. I love it.
Yeah.
So, well, I used to race when I was younger, so motorsports, it's in my family. I grew up, Dad taking me to Speedway. My dad raced go-karts. I grew up going to Speedway in Townsville, and then, I reckon it's a staple of country life, rural, regional life, I reckon, Speedway. And then Juddy, since he was so little, man, he's always loved cars, motors, engines, motorbikes, full drives, loves full drives, drift cars, anything, And a couple of years ago, he'd been playing team sport, and because he's little, what he's just like this real skinny kid, knobbly knees, chicken legs, and he played footy, and it wasn't his thing. He wouldn't get after the ball, and which is fine. I'm not really a footy guy. I'll watch footy, but why would you run and get smashed and get hurt? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, so
this is the guy who runs for 3 days in a row.
Yeah, but you're not running into anything. And then, so Juddy's like, where were we? We were in Perth. Am I running late?
No.
So you look at your watch. Oh, right.
No. It's just habit now with these smartwatches.
Yeah, see, I don't wear watches. Anyway, so I think we were down in Perth on holidays one time, and we took him to the indoor go-karts, right? Just some, kids' activity on holidays. We don't have it up here. We'll take him there, and he was like a little frother. Hey, he was loving life there, and he jumped in, and then he gets out, and he goes, "I want to race one." Like, you just had to go and one, And I, my wife probably won't believe me, but with my motorsport background and stuff, having karts and motorbikes and all sorts of stuff growing up, it wasn't never my intention for him to race karts, right? Never. But I'm not one that's going to say to my kids, no, you can't do it. It's expensive, don't get me wrong. But, they say go-karts is the cheapest form of motorsport. It's true. But motorsport's not cheap. So it's still going to cost a bomb. Anyway, so we came back up here, and we went out to the racetrack here with a friend who is a senior. Anyway, and there was a little kid there practicing, and they offered a go for Juddy in his kart. So we put his suit on and a helmet on his head, and off he went out the track. And he was quick, and he came in with the biggest smile on his face, and Nicole kind of looked at me, and she's like, "Oh, here we go,
this, aren't we?"
Here we go again, And I was like, "How cool is this?" I was having a great time. Anyway, so we put some money aside, and we got him his first go-kart, and he loved it. From the onset, he just loved it, still loves it. He can rattle off every single F1 driver, where they're from, who they drive for, where they are in the ladder, points-wise. He can rattle off any car that comes past, driving down the road, you're driving along, he's like, "Ooh, that was a Merc," whatever it was, model number. And Nicole has no idea about cars, neither does his sister, so it bores him to death. But, and then he talks about all his four-wheel drives, and it's just, I don't know, it's his thing. Whilst I love motorsport, my whole life, whatever, I'm not really a car guy. I don't care for them, He can tell me all sorts of motors and stuff, and I don't give a shit. about it, to be honest. But I stay engaged and go, listen to him. But anyway, now, so he races and he goes quite well. We're really happy. And I'll give him every opportunity to be as good as he can be or wants to be. And he's got a goal. He wants to be a state and national champion. So when we talk about regional kids doing big things, we're giving him the opportunity to do that. And, last year we did a couple of trips to Perth for him. He got 5th in the state title for the Cadet Nines, which was really cool, to see him drive down at Bunbury for the first time that weekend and stay clean all weekend and stay on track, and to finish 5th, that I think there was 15 of them in his class, was really cool. Really cool to see, and he was so happy. And then this year he's moved up to Cadet 12s, and that's a class. It's the same as the Cadet 9s from last year, but they take the restrictor out of the motor, so he's got an unrestricted motor this year. And he just goes bananas, mate. We're actually going out practicing this afternoon. We're going to Tom Price next week. 2 weeks ago, we're down to Perth for the national title. I think 3 weeks before that, we're down in Geraldton for a round of the WA State Series. We're going to Townsville in Queensland in a few weeks for him to race the state title over there. So it's a huge trip logistically. But he wants to race. And he loves it. So I'll give that opportunity all day long. I love it. I'm his mechanic. I'm learning more.
Do you think that you love that it's go-karts and you get to be a mechanic, or do you think that it's that you are just thriving in seeing your son passionate about something? Or both?
Yeah, both. I'm enjoying seeing him. So with the karting, and it can go for any sport, he's making friends, everywhere. So he doesn't just have friends in Karratha. He's now got friends in Perth. He's got friends in Geraldton, a farmer's boy in Geraldton. He met some kids down in the national title the other week from Townsville, where we're from originally. So seeing him make those bonds with other boys and girls is great. Seeing him develop his racecraft on track is really good for me. And Nicole has seen the bond that me and him are building by us two going away racing all the time. She's seen our bond grow strong, and I can see it as well. And then me working on his kart, it's given me something to do. Like I say, I'm a racer. I'd love to race again one day, but to be honest, right now I'm just stoked to see him and happy working on his kart for him. Put him on track and seeing him improve and go is just, it does my head in a good way. It's awesome. And I think you might have seen a photo recently of me and him walking back to the national titles after a solid day of practice, where we improved every session on a new track for him, and the smiles on both our faces, I think, told the story of the day. Long day, working hard all day to get where we got was really rewarding, and so I'm loving it from all aspects. I really am. It's, how I said I'm all in. Yeah, I'm all in on it. So, our parts suppliers probably love me. Tyres and stuff. So, I'm keeping the tyres flowing through the shop there, and but it's been really good. And I think filling that void from the triathlon, where it was independent, it was just me, to now, and then I went through that period, and now to be thriving, but with my son specifically with the racing, is something I'm really proud of. And then, then the daughter's dancing as well. I can't forget the daughter. She's special. So, That's really good. I can't go to her practice because the dance studios run a bit differently. You don't have girls. Your boys don't dance either, do you?
No.
But, it's drop and run. That's the rules, and then you get to see her dance twice or three times a year when they do concerts. And in Perth the other week, we went to a dance concert where she was dancing. And, she's dancing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, I think it is.
Wow.
So a lot. And when you get to the dance concert and you see her come up on stage and perform, you go, crikey, all that work that we're dropping her off, to dance here. Look what we've got. Look what she's doing. And it just, I can sit there and watch her dance all day long. It's really nice. And, you look and go, gee, she's not 13 anymore, is she? When you look at her on stage and her outfits and stuff, you go, crikey. And then you go at the back when they finish dancing and she comes and gives you a massive hug and she's so proud of what she did on stage and just, melts you. So it's really cool. So I think the void has been filled and it's keeping me on the straight and narrow, I guess you would say. I don't know another word for it, but it's keeping me in a good spot, put it that way.
Yeah. So, we've been on a little bit of journey of Kieran over the last 35, 40 minutes or
It's been that
it
long.
might be. We've heard that there's been some struggles, that you go all in with a lot of the things that you need to at that particular time to be able to support your mental health.
Yeah.
And now feeling like you're in a really good space with the kids supporting you and you going essentially all in with their stuff. And that's filling that void. With with anyone that's listening to this that may be in that void at the moment, that may be sort of struggling with young kids and feeling like, because I remember what that was like too, like, this is probably the first year where we've felt that we've got that space and that ability to be able to communicate. And it's not always easy, but that ability to be able to communicate with our boys on a different level than what we've ever had before. But still remembering very vividly how hard it was years ago. So, anyone that's in that place that feels like it's relentless and it's not going to give up and just constantly being bombarded with the chaos of new kids, that first few years, what advice or words would you give someone who's listening to that's currently in a deep struggle?
I guess stick with it. Like, I'm doing really cool shit with my kids now, and they're only 10 and 13. So the time will come where they want to do cool stuff with dads. And remember, dads are cool, right? So just stick with it. Don't lose hope or give up on them because it might be hard now. Just stay there. Like, be active in their life, And I guess I'm fortunate, I live with my kids, and a lot of our dads don't. But when you get that time, just find something cool to do with them. It could be anything. It could be bloody racing paddle pop sticks down the gutter when it rains. Anything. Kids will love the time with their dad, and I'm not very good at dishing out advice, but yeah, stick with it. The time will come where they're just want to do stuff with dad, and when that time comes, do stuff with them. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be dancing go-karts like it is in my house. It could be playing dress-ups. It could be anything. So the time will come where they want to do stuff with dad and make that a really cool time. And I think the memories created will last a long, long time, and they'll look back on them fondly, which is a cool thing, I think. So I don't know if that classifies as advice or not.
I think so. Stick
Yeah.
with it. It's perseverance,
Yeah, definitely.
and
That's
then
a good
just
word, that.
be thanks. And
Show
then
some grit.
show some grit.
Show
And
some
be
grit.
grateful for
Yeah,
for those moments when they do arise, when they do, because they will.
definitely. My legs are so white.
We're just coming out of
Very random, wasn't
summer.
it?
Yeah, I don't know. We're all wearing
That's it.
pants or something. I don't know.
Right.
What's the future feel like for Kieran?
I don't know. I think I'm happy. Like, I'm happy where I work, where I live. I think, honestly, there's going to come a time in the next few years where the conversations can be had in my house about, is this where we're staying as the kids get to uni and stuff? Because like I was saying before, I've got two really intelligent kids, and that's not me skiding. The school reports show, and their performance shows that we've got two really clever kids. Hopefully the Pilbara can offer them something, because I love it here. But obviously Azra wants to be a doctor, so I think that requires Perth at some point, or, not necessarily Perth, but a capital city move, I think, for her to move into that phase of her life, university and whatnot. And Juddy, so despite he wants to be a car racing driver, if that doesn't work out, he wants to be an aerodynamicist. Have you heard of that?
Just now.
Yeah. So you're not the only one.
Make things go better in the air.
Yeah. So F1 cars, right?
That's the technical term.
Yeah. So F1 cars, it's all about aerodynamics, and that's his thing. That's where he. So who knows where he's
Can't do that at
up.
TAFE up here.
No, unfortunately not. So I don't know how you make a Land Cruiser go faster. They're shaped like a box. So
I know there's a whole bunch of people who drive Nissans who are saying something about it right now. Yep.
So the future, the conversation, I have no doubt, will be raised, and we'll approach it sensibly and make the decision what's best for us. I'm fortunate that I love what I do for a job. My company, if I did have to go down to be near the kids or whatever, I still have the option to work for them. So who knows? I really don't know. But right now, I can't see anything changing. I'm happy. The kids are happy here. And I think with that, we give them all the opportunity when we travel. We travel a lot, especially with Juddy's racing, and we don't let Azra miss out with her dancing and stuff. So they're not stuck here in Karratha year round. We get away a lot, which helps them when they come back here, because it can be consuming living in the Pilbara. So we make that important time to go away. Yeah, so they'll probably finish their school here, I would think. Azra goes, "Dad, I want to go to boarding school." And I'm like, "Sweetheart, I didn't have you for you not to be near me as a child, so I like having my kids around. So boarding school's not on my radar. I don't know if it's on Nicole's not. We haven't had the conversation, but yeah, well, I don't know. Why would you want to? I understand rural people like farming and that, but I don't know. There's a good school here. Yeah, she goes to the private school and she's getting a great education, so I don't see the need for that to change anytime soon. And I go to work and I'm home every day, which I love. So, I work shift work, but I'm still home every day. Yeah. So the future is bright. Hopefully Juddy gets on and wins a state and national title, and Azra just keeps being a shining star on a dance stage and a brilliant student. Yeah, both the kids brilliant students, and yeah, who knows? I've been here a long time and I love it, so I don't see me going anywhere.
It's good. And I think, just seeing you come back onto social media over the last 6 months or so, and we're definitely seeing through that, and obviously social media is just one of those things you never know what that actually is, but I think knowing you and seeing your posts and stuff, I see that there's there's a happiness and a contentness in life at the moment, which is really cool to see. But I also am aware that you've just come off night shift, and that couch is extremely comfortable, like you said. So
it's a comfy couch, yeah.
Well, maybe we'll close it out there, and I just want to say thanks for taking the opportunity to come and have a chat with me. Appreciate it. Taking me outside of my comfort zone. You and Chris this week. Chris yesterday, and you today.
He probably has a far more interesting story than I do, but
I'll let you guys argue about that. Once these all get released, you can have little coffee catch up or something and talk about that.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate it, and it's good to be able to do these face to face now as well, and just thanks.
I think it's about time you had me on. Known you for long enough, and no, it's been really good. Yes, I've just come off night shift, but I've got a big day. I've got to take the wife out for a lunch date, and then Juddy's got about 5 hours of practice at the racetrack this afternoon. So, no, thank you for having me. It's been really good. Don't forget to prompt people to get on and have a look at Juddy's race. And
well, that's So what can listeners who are interested in following along with you or follow along with the racing and stuff? How can they get involved? We'll obviously also put all those details and stuff in the show notes and things as well. But
so don't add me as a friend on Facebook because I don't do that. But we have a Facebook page called Judd Rowland Motorsport. It's a page where we are very actively promoting his motorsport activities and what he does. So we have a lot of family overseas and around the world and stuff, friends. So it's been really good for them to be able to do it. So it's a private page, but all you do is just request to join, and I'll throw you on there. So it's really cool. It's just a dad and his 10-year-old boy racing, and loving it. So get on there and have a look. It's also on Instagram, the same thing, Judd Rowland Motorsport. But be happy to see some people get on and see what we're up to there. It's been really good. So we just made a sponsorship announcement the other day, which was really cool. There's a cool story on there about that. I think you've read it.
Yep.
So we don't actively seek sponsorship and stuff, but this was a really cool thing that came up and was too good to refuse, really. So thanks for having me.
Pleasure. And like I said, we'll put all those links onto the show notes and everything. Appreciate you coming on board, and we'll talk to you again really soon.
Roger.